I'm Anil Kumar. Welcome to this series for grade 3 students. In geometry, we need to describe figures. We need to learn how to describe them. And here are a few things which can help you. You can always contact me on my website globalmathinstitute.com or by email. The address is given here. So today we'll see. To describe figures, we may like to know something about the topics mentioned here, which are lines, angles, vertices. Attributes, as you know, are the things which describe a figure and help you better understanding of a figure itself. So once we know about these basic things, then we'll take up some more examples and then see how to describe figures, how to sort the figures. So sorting of the figures can be done based on these attributes which we were talking about. And we'll also see some problems and examples. Now in all my questions, I'm going to use these figures, correct? So you can see that we have 8 of these figures. The letters are written: M for the moon, A for an arrow, C for a cross, P for this shape, O, T, R, and H. These are different shapes, right? So we'll know these shapes soon, and then we will see how better we can describe them. Are you ready? Come, let's begin with lines. Well, lines, as you know, can be straight or could be curved lines, right? So a straight line could be something like this, right? Something like this. Or a curved line could be like this. So the lines could be straight or curved. As you can see here, moon has a curved line, right? A circle has a straight line. All of the figures, circle has a curved line too, right? So you can see in these two figures we have curved lines, but in all other figures we have straight lines. So lines is something very important to describe a particular shape. Line is normally the boundary of the shape, right? So what you see outside of the shape, and that really defines the shape. Outside of the shape is a line which could be straight or curved. Now in a figure that the line can in a figure the line can be the edge of the figure also. So in all these figures we can see that line, we can always call this as an edge, right? So this is the edge of a hexagon, right? You know, it has got 6 lines here. This is called hexagon. You are familiar with triangle. So that is the edge of the triangle. So line has also formed the edge of the rectangle in this particular case. So lines could be treated as edge. Lines can also be the sides of the figure. So what we say here is that rectangle has 4 sides. Since there are 4 lines, a triangle has 3 sides. Do you see that? So that is how lines can be used to describe a shape. Okay. Now the question for you is, find the figure with straight lines. So which figures are with straight lines? You can figure them out and then tell me. So tell me, which are the figures which are with straight lines? Well, all of them except for 2, right? So I could write these figures as A, C, P, T, H, and R. So these 6 figures are with straight lines, correct? So we are going to refer to these figures for all our answers to come, and we'll name them with the letters given in the center of the figure. Is that clear to you? So now let's move on and talk about sides. So now lines, as you know, form the edge, correct? So these are also called the sides. So what we are now saying is we'll figure out how many sides are there in a particular figure. So figure may have many sides, as you can see, right? A triangle has 3 sides, 1, 2, and 3. A rectangle has 4 sides, correct? So some figures are named based on their number of sides. Do you know that? Hexagon, for example, it has 6 sides, right? So hexagon has 6 sides. It is named because of its sides, right? So we can say this is hexagon. Hexagon means 6 sides. So there are figures which are named based on their sides itself. Now, there is something called regular figures. When we say regular figures have all the sides of the same length. So, if you have a figure like this particular hexagon itself, all the sides you will see are of same length. So, this is also called regular hexagon. So, we can also call this as regular hexagon. So if all the side lengths are equal, in that case, the shape is defined as a regular. So we add the name regular. In this particular case, we might have the triangle also with the same lengths, right? But in this case, for a triangle, we give it a different name. We'll come to that later, right? So many figures are named as regular with their name of number of sides if the sides are of equal length. So I hope that is clear to you, right? Here, based on this, there are two questions for you. So I'd like you to read these two questions and answer them. You can pause the video for that purpose. Okay, now let me read it for you. Name the figures with more than 4 sides. So can you name the figures with more than 4 sides out of these 8 given to you, right? So tell me the figures which have more than 8 sides. Correct? Okay, so I hope you have got them. So let's look into these figures. And so clearly we have figures like A with C, right? They have more than 4 sides, correct? And H. So these are the figures which have more than 4 sides. The next question here is, name the figures with 3 pairs of parallel sides. Do you understand parallel sides? Another new term. So what we see here is that the lines which are same distance apart, for example in hexagon, these two are parallel sides. The opposite sides are parallel, right? This side is also parallel to the other. So at times for parallel sides, we make some arrows like this, correct? So this means that these two lines are parallel, correct? So here is something which we have. These are the 3 sides which are in pairs parallel. So the figure here is H. You get the idea, correct? So in this case, there are 3 figures which have more than 4 sides, and those are the figure A, figure C, and figure H, right? And then we have a figure H in which we have 3 pair of parallel sides. You can see out of the 6 sides, opposite pairs, they are parallel. Perfect. Now let's look into what really parallel sides are, correct? So here is how we define parallel sides. Parallel sides are always same distance apart, right? So for example, in this particular case, you will see that these two are parallel sides. They are same distance apart. Here also we have these two as parallel sides. We see a pair of parallel sides. You get an idea, correct? Now, here what we are saying is that a rectangle has 2 pair of parallel sides. Is that so? Yes, the one which is vertical and also this, right? This is also parallel. So we have 2 pair of parallel sides in case of a rectangle, as you can clearly see. Now here is question number 4. So as we are learning, we are also answering questions. That should help you, right? So answer this particular question. Question 4 is, name the figure with 1 pair of parallel side. Only 1 pair of parallel side. Can you do that? Figure this out. And the question number 5 is, name the figure with 3 pair of parallel sides. Okay, so I hope you must have got by now which figure has 1 pair of parallel sides. Well, right here you see that these two sides are parallel. And these are the only sides which are parallel. So we say that this figure has one pair of parallel sides. Is that correct? Right. Now, let's look into the figure which has three pairs of parallel sides. Okay, well, we did it last time. This is one pair which is parallel, correct? Let me use different inks for the sides which are parallel, right? So this is also a parallel side. And then the third pair is this one. So we do have three pairs of parallel sides in our which figure? This is called regular hexagon. Is that clear? Yes, regular because all side lengths are equal, right? And hexagon because it has six sides. So that is what we learned in the previous two videos, correct? So you have learned few things now, which is we know the sides and we know the equal sides and we know parallel sides, right? So with the sides, we also look into the number, and these things help us to describe a shape, right? Let's move forward. Now we'll talk about vertex, like a corner, right? So it says two sides of the figure meet at a vertex. What I'm trying to say here is you can see clearly this is the vertex, right? The two sides are meeting at this particular point in a triangle. That corner is the vertex. So the corner, there are three corners for a triangle. It has got three vertices. You get the idea, right? So vertex, when plural, is written as vertices. Okay. Now, important thing here is to understand that circle does not have any vertex. Do you see this? No vertex at all. It's a round thing. No corners. Do you get the idea? So circle is a figure which does not have any vertex. That is important. Now the question for you. Once again, I'd like you to pause the video, answer the question, and then look into my suggestions. The question here is, name the figures with more than three vertex. More than three vertex? Oh my god. Which figure is that? Okay, so try to figure this out. I think that should be one of those. We have six of these here, correct? More than three. This one also, this arrow has lot of vertex, right? So we have so many vertex. Of course, this one has so many vertex. So that means there are many figures which have more than three vertex, correct? Here also we have more than three vertex. Is that clear to you? So you could give the names for all these figures for answer to question number 6. Is that clear? I hope so. Okay, let's move on to question number 7. It says, name a figure without any vertex. Oh, of course, we have the circle which does not have any vertex. You got it. Perfect. Now, we will introduce you to some activities. This is a very important activity. So let's say activity number 1 for you is make a regular figure with 10 vertices. Do you see the spelling of vertex and vertices? So if there is more than one vertex, we say vertices, right? So that becomes plural of vertex, more than one. So make a figure, regular figure with 10 vertices, right? So that is your exercise. Regular means all equal sides. So we call it a regular decagon. Okay, so let me give you the name of this figure. It's called regular decagon. Okay, so that is your assignment number 1. You should do this assignment after the video, and you can always post this assignment on my email. I can always check what you've done. Okay, and if you have doubts, I can answer your questions also. Thank you. Now let's move on and see another term. This is called angle. Now we're going to talk about angles. You're familiar with it, right? What are angles? I think you know about it, what the angles are, but we'll talk more in details about angles in this particular video. Two sides of a figure make an angle. So we start with sides. Do you see the straight lines? When you have a vertex, at that point, we also have an angle. Do you see this? So two sides meet at an angle at the vertex. Do you see that? So those are the angles we are talking about. Do you see this? This is 90 degrees angle, but this is less than 90 degrees and that is more than 90 degrees. We'll talk about that also. So now, two sides of a figure make an angle at the vertex. So important thing is angle is formed at the vertex only, right? So we make angles at the vertex when we are talking about figures. Now, another important thing is square corner. So what is a square corner? Something like this. Square corner at the vertex is called right angle, right? So let me now mark right angles. So this is your right angles. Do you see that? So these are right angles. Is that clear? So these are your right angles, right? This is also a right angle. That is also a right angle. So we call them square corners. So square corners are the right angles. Is that okay? So that angle is right angles. You will learn soon that this angle measures 90 degrees. We will talk about it later. For now, just call them right angles. Correct? Another term is acute angles. Acute angles are less than right angles. So these are less than right angles. We call them acute angles. So in this triangle, we have acute angles. Do you see these angles? They are less than 90 degrees or right angle, right? So these are called acute angles. So acute angles are less than the right angle. Do you see that? These are much smaller than the right angles which you can see, right? And another kind of angle is called obtuse angle. So if something is less than 90 degrees or right angles, something has to be more than that also, right? So obtuse angles, which are, you can see here, these are more than 90 degrees, correct? So these are obtuse angles which you can see clearly in a hexagon. So these are called obtuse angles. So we have learned that at least there are three kinds of angles. One are right angles, which are square corners. But if the corner is not square but less than that, we call that as an acute angle. And if it is more than that, then we call that as an obtuse angle. So these are six obtuse angles in a hexagon. Do you see that? Correct. So acute angles are smaller and the obtuse angles are more larger than the right angles. Now there are two questions for you. Question number 8. Name the figures with right angles at the vertices. Clear? You can always answer this question. And question number 9 is name a figure with two acute angles. We want a figure with two acute angles only, not three. Okay, only two acute angles. So these are the questions for you. So I'd like you to pause the video, answer these questions, and then move forward. Well, our answers are the figure with right angles at the corner is a rectangle. So I'm writing R for the rectangle, right? And the other one, figure with only two acute angles? That is the figure P. Do you see that? So it has only two acute angles, and those two acute angles are where? These two are the acute angles, correct? They are less than 90 degrees. 90 degrees square corner will be formed like this. And these angles are less than that, correct? That is what it is. Now here is another activity for you. The activity is make a figure with two acute angles and two pairs of parallel sides. Oh, two acute angles and two pair of parallel sides. Here we have only one pair of parallel sides. Do you see that? So that's an activity for you. It's a very important question. I'd like you to take a picture of this or copy this down and then answer. You can always send it to me on my email address. I can always check and then get back to you. Perfect. Now, we have learned about lines, we have learned about sides, parallel sides, vertex, and also angles. Now we'll talk about attributes, right? You learned about attributes in the very beginning, correct? So now, an attribute is the way to describe a figure. In this particular case, what could be the ways to describe a figure? What could be the attributes for you? Well, all the things which we learned today, which are number and length of the side, size of the angle, straight or curved lines. These are all attributes which you can use to describe a particular figure, correct? So, based on this, we have question number 10 for you, which is name three attributes for the figure H, which we are calling hexagon. And we also notice this is a regular hexagon. Clear? Okay, so you have to name three attributes for the figure H. Can you tell me three attributes for this particular figure? Think about it one by one. You can see the number of sides, right? So think about this as number of sides, you could say, right? How many sides it has. You could write this, and then you can also think about angles. Do we have acute or obtuse angles? Well, we have more than 90 degrees here. Angles. And what else? You could also think about parallel sides, right? Parallel pairs. So these are the things you could talk about, right? So we have seen that it has three sets of parallel sides, correct? Right. And it has got six sides with obtuse angles, for example, and that should be correct for question number 10. Here is activity number 3 for you. The activity is sort the figures in two groups based on parallel sides. You understand? So you could sort them out by using a table, right? You can say, well, three parallel sides or less than three, right? Parallel sides we're talking about. And then you can write down in this particular table the figures which have three parallel sides and the figures which have less than three parallel sides, correct? So likewise, you could also add to activities, right? Add more activities. Explore, right? Now here is the assignment for you. We are almost at the end. We have learned a lot today about the figures and how to describe them. Based on this, we have an assignment. And A, question number is describe these eight figures, right? So we have all the eight figures. We know a lot about them by now, right? Some have straight lines, some have curved lines, some angles are at square corners, right? They are called right angles. Some angles are less than right angles, called acute angles. Some are more than acute angles and right angles. They are called obtuse angles, right? Then we talked about number of sides and parallel sides. Based on that, describe these eight figures. Is that clear to you? You can always give name as the letters given here and then describe them. Part B is sort these figures in three different ways. You can select the attributes as angles, side lengths, vertices, etc. Just as we did earlier, right? You could sort them. And activity number 4 here is write 5 things that you learned from this lesson. You can write all that, and if you really like about it, you can put like on the particular video. Send me an email with your request. I hope that makes sense. Feel free to write your comment, share your views, and if you like and subscribe to my videos, that'd be great. Thanks for your time and all the best.